The 3 count question of the week.
What?
All right. Welcome back, Tim.
What happened?
I don't know. And then we got interrupted. Bret Hart came and joined us for a little while.
What?
Yeah, I know you missed out. It's weird how that happens. So again, give it a like and a share. Maybe we'll get some more guests.
What did I tell you guys about playing with the Ouija board while I wasn't here?
Well, it happens. They had to bust some of the dust off of that thing. It's been a while. But this conversation or this question of the week, friend of the show, Ernest Christian of the Take 3 Wrestling podcast, he and I were talking, I want to say now it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But the topic of Seth Rollins, and does Seth Rollins belong in the top 20 all time in WWE, came up. So I didn't want to cover just that. I didn't know if he was going to cover it on Take 3, and I didn't want to be accused of stealing topics from them like he steals my soundboard from me. But I expanded it to 25, and I wanted the question to be, is there anyone who has made their WWE debut in the last decade that would make your top 25 of all time? Besides Roman Reigns. Now if you don't think Roman Reigns is a top 25 of all timer, you can feel free to share that as well. I think he is. But is there anybody who's made their debut in the WWE in the last decade that would be in your top 25 in WWE all time? Does anybody want to kick us off?
Yeah, Jim, I believe there is. There's probably more than one.
Okay.
So would debut within the last decade would be in my top 25 of all time. I think when you start looking at women wrestlers, it becomes very clear that Charlotte Flair, who made her main roster debut in 2015, would make my top 25, probably my top 5 women of all time. So Charlotte Flair to me is the easy answer here. So yeah, she would be in the top 25 wrestlers in the WWE of all time, in my opinion.
All right. Matt or Tim, either you guys want to?
Can't disagree with Charlotte Flair. Are we talking like 10 years exactly? Because AJ Lee did make her debut in 2011, but it was in May.
We'll just say, we'll say that counts. We'll count it in the last.
Okay, because that would put her up there in terms of female wrestlers all time for WWE.
Okay. Tim, do you have anyone?
10 years. So 10 years would put us into 2012.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give 2011. Like if it was 2011, January 1st, 2011 or later, we'll give it the actual. Even though I guess
I'm good. Okay, so I am going to go with the. Is it top 25 right now?
It's top 25 WWE superstars of all time. Is there anybody who's
currently, like, if I were to make that list today?
If you were sitting down and you were making your list today, is there anybody who's debuted in the last decade that would crack your top 25? Scott,
Ryback.
That's fantastic, Scotty. Well done.
Is that what Gage Goldberg's going to go by when he starts? I, aside from like Roman and Seth, I don't think so. I think there's a lot that are like right outside of the top 25 of all time. Like Charlotte would probably make the list too, but I just don't see anybody else.
Like, I wrote out like 25 names that 24, because I penciled in Roman, but like I wrote out like the first 24 names that I could think of that would be in my top 25. I didn't put them in any order. And then
Who's
I
number
wrote,
one?
well,
Hitman Hart, obviously.
in no particular order. I have
But-
Bret Hart,
Stone Cold Steve Austin as,
and then he's got Keith Hart,
Bruce Hart. No,
Bruce Hart,
um,
getting real Brucey in here.
like, so and then I wrote down names of people like who I thought were some of the top performers in the WWE who have debuted in the last decade. And there's a few like Seth, Charlotte, AJ Styles, and like I kind of like circled the New Day. Like I know that they're not one superstar. They're like a group. Like to me, because I didn't even touch, and that's a crazy one. I didn't even touch tag teams when I wrote out 25. It was just 25 single superstars. Like
It's tough to leave Titus off that list. I get it.
I love Titus O'Neil. Like it was like top 25 like people in WWE history.
Did you see he has a school named after him in
Oh,
Florida?
for real? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's
On
badass.
Day.
Yeah, people. Yeah, he belongs in the
He
top
might
10.
be like number one.
He's up there.
He's done a lot for like charity and community throughout his
wasn't-
career.
It wasn't that there was that I was like, Seth, Charlotte, AJ stuff. Like the problem was, who do I knock off the list? Because I was trying to look at it, and I'm like, that's the hard part. Is which out of those people that I wrote down, and there's ones that I probably forgot to list. Like, so that's what's hard for me to crack the top 25 all time. Is there's just so many established from the previous forever that it's to me it's a challenge for those to crack. Scotty.
Well, I mean, Kofi was he was in like late 2009
Oh, well, that's a good point.
or whatever when he
Jim,
debuted.
I think you're wearing the guy's shirt. Is the other name that I had on my
Bray,
list.
I think Bray is early too because he debuted as Husky Harris before like 2011.
Oh, that's a
right?
fair point. The Bray Wyatt character, I think, actually debuted with the Wyatt family in 2012. That's a fair point. He might be.
Yeah,
I have to look. Let me
I don't
look
know
that
when
up.
exactly when Nexus was.
No,
but
I
it was
think
that
that was before. That was before because when John Cena was doing his stuff with Nexus, that was in 2010 because that was the old.
Yeah, it
school
might
Raw.
be like just under the cut.
Yeah,
but
so that's kind of a good point.
It is, yeah. NXT meet NXT rookie Husky Harris. WWE posted on YouTube June of 2010. So
stupid name. God.
yeah, that's awful.
Devin has Kevin Owens. He also has Bray Wyatt, who we were just talking about.
I mean, I would love for Kevin Owens to be considered that, but I don't think he's done enough in WWE to
Becky,
be top
Scotty says
25.
the Usos for sure. Matt,
They go hard in the paint.
shocked you didn't mention them.
Jesus.
See, I feel like if you're doing a top 25, you can't do tag teams. Because like tag teams and individual stars
Yeah,
are
they're
separate.
kind of their own.
Like I wouldn't put Jimmy or Jay by themselves as
No.
the top 25. Like Becky is working on her case to get into the top 25. And while she was the hottest that anyone's ever been as the man, like to
Such a
compare that to
small
Stone Cold
sample.
Steve Austin, like
I mean,
it's
to
not the
compare that
same.
to like Trish Stratus or China. Like it's
Who?
it's
Usos debuted in
China.
2010
Yeah.
as well.
like it's such a smaller sample size. Now, a lot of these names that are being mentioned absolutely are in the top
50.
10, 15 performers of the last decade.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, probably in the top 50 of all time.
Yeah.
But man, like the top 25 is like it's just such a hard list to crack.
I think if there's one name that has been mentioned on the screen that we haven't said that is like a top 25 WWE superstar of all time, it's AJ Styles. He did so much in such a short window in the WWE. Multiple time WWE champion. Had one of the most impactful first years in WWE history, like almost like Kurt Angle style.
Impactful. You're ridiculous.
But AJ Styles now AJ Styles has done so much for the WWE that it's hard to really remember a time where he wasn't in the WWE, which
Well,
is kind of
he's won every singles title.
he's a
right?
Grand Slam champion.
And did he win? Is he a SmackDown tag champion, or is he just a Raw? I think
Just
he's just a
Raw.
Raw tag champion. But
Mhm.
still, I mean, it's and he was in the what is at least currently, and dear God, I hope it is eternally, the Undertaker's last match. Like, that means something in the like lore and legacy of WWE. But like the 25 names that I wrote down,
Didn't Styles have a contract right before TNA? Like he was wrestling on like Velocity and shit, I thought.
Yeah, but he was never like a contracted.
I don't think he was ever
superstar.
So he was never
signed a
assigned.
developmental,
Okay,
no.
okay, all right.
He did tryouts, but
Like I remember seeing a match or two with him like on YouTube now.
there's a match with him versus the Hurricane
Okay.
in like 02.
It's similar to like Tommaso Ciampa in like the suit and the slicked back hair segment. Okay, I wasn't sure if he was ever like signed because I knew he actually wrestled.
Right.
But like I had Austin, Rock, Hogan, Taker, HBK, Cena, Bret Hart, Andre the Giant, Triple H, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, Mick Foley, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, Miz, Edge, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Trish Stratus,
China.
Lita, CM Punk, Roman Reigns. Like those were 25 names that I wrote down. There's surely people that I'm probably missed off the list.
There's two names on that list that I would probably take off.
Okay.
The Miz.
No.
You leave the Miz on.
Yeah.
I think
Yowie,
Miz
wowie.
is top 25 all time.
I'm taking Lita off.
Okay.
I also
So I
take
had
Lita off.
crossed Lita off and I put Charlotte in her spot.
And I would take Ric Flair off.
Okay. I mean, he was one if I was just
Because of his wiener.
No, nothing to do with the plane ride from hell. But like,
He's a real big dude.
yeah, he is. That's the real little Nate. And
I heard that's the reason the plane actually stayed in the air, was the motion of the propeller of his wiener kept them afloat.
Flair's first run from late 91 until early 93, really big run. I mean, coming in as the Real World's champion, winning the Royal Rumble and the WWE title, holding it until he loses it to Brett in December of he loses it to Savage at WrestleMania and then wins it back, and then holds it until he loses it to Brett in December of 92
in Saskatoon.
in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and then he loses to Mr. Perfect in a loser leaves town match on the second episode of Monday Night Raw ever
Yes.
in January of 93. That's a big run. But if you look at Flair's run coming back into WWE with the consortium as being the consortium, as a member of Evolution, his weird tag team partnership with Carlito,
Oh, shit. Forgot about that.
his singles feud with Randy Orton, and his like program with Mick Foley, where he called him a glorified stuntman. Flair's really doing like odds and ends stuff when he's not involved in like Evolution at all. And then like, of course, the career threatening stuff with like his last three big matches with MVP, Ken Kennedy, and then Shawn Michaels. But I don't know if he's like a top 25 all time. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're including like WWE properties and you're including WCW in
Sure,
that,
because then I mean that
then,
opens
like-
a whole new box because then you have Sting.
yeah,
involved.
because it's a WWE Hall of, it's like the WWE Hall of Fame
Right.
has
That's
all
that's
these
why
people.
like I tried
So-
to like emphasize just like the WWE portion of it. So okay, we'll cross off Ric Flair. Let's throw AJ Styles into the then
You had the Undertaker on the list.
yeah, I had Taker on the list.
Did you have Kane on the list?
I didn't have Kane on the list. That was one of the ones that I forgot. Like I said, there's probably others that I forgot.
Did you have Jericho on the list?
I did have Jericho on the list. The Jericho's on the list.
Oh,
Just
I might take China off the list and put Kane on.
China.
Okay.
Did you had Triple H?
I did have Triple H.
Did you have Etch?
I did have Etch.
did have it.
I did have Etch. Yeah.
Did you have the Animal Dave Batista?
I did not have the Animal Dave Batista.
I mean, of the older wrestlers that you named that you had on there, I think the only one that I might move off in favor of someone like, more recent would probably be Roddy.
Did you say Mr. Perfect?
I didn't have Perfect on the list.
You did not. Okay. I wanted to make sure.
Came into my mind, but I was like, as
I don't want to say
great of a
exactly.
character as Mr. Perfect is, like, is he a top 25 all-time superstar?
And that's why Roddy for me is tough, because great on the mic, but like if you're talking all around, I don't think Roddy had a ton of memorable matches that you can list.
I just think he was such a big part of like the early.
He certainly was.
Like the early Mania years that like I feel like a lot of that stuff around like like the Rock and Wrestling Connection and all of that, like some of the success that probably keeps WWE for me that keeps WWE afloat at that time can be attributed to Roddy Piper.
That's the cool thing too, because I think these lists tend to be very face heavy.
Mm-hmm.
The babies get the pop, and that's what everybody remembers. But it's important to put somebody like a Roddy Piper or even like a Jake Roberts to
his Ryback signing with AEW.
Oh, there's no way in hell.
Yeah, there's no freaking way.
I read the typo and just left it like it. I would be more shocked if he signed with them than if he sang.
Oh, it said sing. Is he singing with he might be singing.
He has a better shot of singing on AEW than he does wrestling on AEW.
Yes, that's actually
you'll find Ryback singing outside of the arena with
trying to ask for money
with a hat with coins.
It's another Twitter poll where he's asking people if he should retire or not.
When you get lit up by Mansoor on Twitter, just
like,
walk away, bro.
How many times does he have to put the same poll up and be like, really, guys, stop trolling?
Don't vote retire. It's not.
I've blocked the 83,000 people that voted retire last time.
Like, fuck.
It's like 83,000 more people will find this poll and beg you to retire.
He says that he doesn't want either. He doesn't want him singing or signing with AEW.
Yeah.
I don't think we do either.
If I had to choose, I would prefer he sing.
Yes. I
So the actual question is, does Ryback make your list of top 25 all-time WWE superstars?
No. Close, but I'm going to have to leave him off.
Yeah, just he might be 20. Like if I went to 26, he might get that 26 spot.
Got it.
But
it's weird because when we met him, he was like cool, but like he's such a douche. Otherwise,
right, that's the really kind of strange thing about it is like at shows, like he does seem like a cool guy, but then like he gets on his Twitter and is just like the biggest fucking asshole about it. So like
Andy, that's what she says himself all the time, which drops it down a notch.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have a "That's What She Says" sounder?
That's what she said.
Oh, so not him.
No, not him.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
No, I'm not putting.
No, that'd be him with his mouth full.
He wants him singing "Cult of Personality." That
I would like to see.
That
I'm a dumb piece of shit.
But like and like to the original point, like what EJ and I were talking about is like, I love Rollins, but I don't know if I'm willing to put him in my top 25.
Top 20 is a no.
Yeah,
25 you might be able to make an argument for, but I still probably don't have him on there.
Yeah, I mean, he may be top 30, top 35 without question.
If you've got Roman Reigns in your top 25, then you've got Seth Rollins in the top 25 too. Because there's nothing that's the only thing that Roman's done that Seth hasn't done is the monster reign that he's got right now. And there's a chance he would have had that monster run
if he didn't
with
blow
the
his leg
authority
out.
if he didn't blow his knee out.
That's a good point. Like Rollins,
But you can't play the chance game.
no,
There's
no,
a
no.
chance Ryback would have been a huge star if he didn't suck. You can't play that.
That's a very different scenario.
This guy'd be good if he didn't suck. Yeah, no, that's a good point, Tim.
I mean, I'd be thin if I wasn't fat. It doesn't work this way, Tim.
Again, two completely different
Is it?
things. Yes.
Yes.
I don't think it is.
But yeah, I mean,
Are we talking about how Seth Rollins injured people or how when Seth Rollins got injured himself?
When he got injured himself.
Who did he
you got
injure?
it. Who didn't he injure? Move
Like
on.
it's an argument that is made in a lot of sports. Like Ken Griffey Jr. probably goes down as the all-time best player in baseball, has all the records if he doesn't get hurt.
right. I mean, it's Mario Lemieux probably would have beaten Gretzky's points and goals record if he doesn't get sick and then have the injuries as well. But yeah, you can't.
Like the Flyers probably win multiple cups if Lindros didn't get his head rocked and never recover from that.
Probably.
Hey guys, it's me, Eric.
Oh my god.
Put Eric Lindros on the wheel of impressions for Ryan.
For Ryan.
That's not necessary.
That is not necessary, but hilarious nonetheless.
No,
So
we
it's-
take head injuries real serious here.
Fair to say for like even a lot of wrestlers, I think could have been bigger than they were not for injuries.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts to the question of the week before we go to break?
I have a piece of breaking news that I'd like to put out before we go to commercial.
Like breaking.
As told on the Grillin' JR podcast earlier,
Salsa.
JR has a new business venture.
Oh, I
On
heard
his
about
way.
this actually.
Quote, my youngest daughter, her husband, and I, another guy, a lawyer, are getting ready to start a cannabis farm. We're looking at the working title of Black Hat Farms. I bought some land in Oklahoma recently for the grow houses and all the things. It's going to be their life. That's a big deal. She's got a great job in marketing. She's not going to quit that, blah, 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 blah. But Jim Ross about to sell some weed.
I can't wait for Sassafras Sativa. That's man, good news. Great way to go, JR. Add that to the list.
Can I get that man's got a family pack of weed?
Man, that's good. That's good. All right, let's pause